Hi everybody, my name is Yonit Spiegelman and I'm a bass player from New York City, and I'm also a teacher on Lessonface.com, and I'm here today to help you become a better bass player. Maybe you feel like you're an okay bass player, but you're still missing some stuff. The band members are still giving you some nasty faces, so you're in the right place because I'm gonna give you 5 tips for how to sound way better very fast, okay? So first tip, don't use your open strings for almost anything. Okay, so if you're using your open strings, it should be for like this big note in the end, usually. Or maybe if you're just having it as a passing note. But don't use it in the regular, natural song structure, because this is how it's going to sound like. Lovely. This is how it's supposed to sound like. So you can see that when you play it and you have the open strings, you have this natural sustain that you don't really control. One of the main things that you want to do and avoid by not playing those open strings is control your tone and never have this kind of sustained string. Okay, so make sure that you do that. Second tip, never sacrifice the beat for a fill. So a lot of times when I used to still study bass and I went to these bass clinics, I just saw all the bass players going. So, well, first of all, if you don't do it with a metronome, this is worth nothing. Second of all, this is not where our power is. Our power is with really keeping the beat. So if you make this fill, and fills are nice, don't get me wrong, they really do add a lot, but if you really put all your attention in this like huge fill, but you miss the beat in the end, that's not gonna be worth much, that fill, because we really gotta lay down that groove. So check this out. Don't do that. Don't do that. So the third tip, also very, very important. Keep it simple and keep it consistent. Okay, so this is also something that I see a lot of times when I have my bass lessons, when I have my group bass lessons, is that bass players always want to play. I guess maybe, I don't know, maybe they came from guitar or something. But it seems like they're just playing too many notes when really, you know, the most famous bass kind of, you know, groovy songs that we know really have those simple bass lines. Okay, so when you're starting to play too busy, really it just sounds like solo. And when was the last time you heard a bass solo in a rock or pop tune? Okay, so I'm gonna demonstrate what it feels like to keep it simple, keep it easy, keep it consistent, versus playing way too busy. Simple. Tip number 4. Okay, very important as well, and you should listen to this one, because if you're not gonna do this, I can pretty much guarantee you you're gonna get fired from the gig that you are playing in right now. So, tip number 4 may seem kind of obvious for some, but always, 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 and I mean always, start playing with the root. Okay? The root note. We're here to play the root note. Sometimes I'm getting hired strictly just to play the root note. If you start playing something else, and this could be, if you had some theory classes, that's great, that you can play the third, the fifth, the seventh. But yeah, that doesn't really work. If you want to do that, you can go to a different instrument, literally every other different instrument. But we need to start playing with the root note. You know what happens otherwise? You change the chord. We have that power. And with power comes great responsibility. Okay? It's going to change the whole song. Check it out. So tip number 5, our last tip for today, also very, very, very important. And you notice that this is actually especially for the intermediate bass players, because this is by the time that you get to know your theory a little bit. And this one is also because it's very important, because sometimes when we get to know our neck a little bit better, we start climbing up and we say, oh, okay, like we have this C, but I can also go to this C. There's a difference. And there's a reason why many times I tell my students, this is the money-making zone. That's where it happens for us as bass players. You can see that the sound is the punchiest. Okay, if I do all this here, it's a little bit more subtle. Okay, so one reason to keep it down, literally keep it down, I guess, is because of the texture, right? But another thing is that, okay, so I know that I have my C over here. I know I have my C over here. I have also my C over here, my C over here. That doesn't mean you have to play all of them, okay? Because if you go up, it's like you drop the bass, and you don't want to drop the bass as the bass player, okay? So let's see the difference between the textures when I play something up the octave versus when I play it down. And we can even try to see the differences when I go to a different part of the neck that does have the same note, but is a little bit different. So, let's see. We had 5 tips for today. First one, try to avoid the open strings. Second one, never sacrifice the bit for a feel. Always focus on the beat. Third one, keep it simple, keep it consistent, don't overplay. Fourth one, always, always, always start playing with the root. Don't start playing without the root. Don't change the chords. Fifth one, stick to the bottom. That's where the magic happens. That's where the bass playing stays. I would say 99% of the bass playing should be here. Well, maybe 95% of the bass playing should be here. And then 5% should be awesome things that you've been working on for a long time to accompany that. But don't forget to keep it simple. The fact that you have information doesn't mean that you have to use it all the time. That's our secret as bass players. So, Hopefully these tips help you and you got to realize some stuff that maybe you were doing wrong before. If you need any other bass tips, you're more than welcome to go to lessonface.com, book a lesson with me, and we'll just keep on working on your bass playing and make sure that you become a better bass player. Have fun!